capture defining moments as we journey with COVID-19, the public has been invited to contribute material to the National Archives. The government is hoping the collection will help future generations better understand this part of our history. You can contribute items ranging from videos and photographs to journal entries and even household items, as long as they depict daily life during the pandemic. Or they can tell the stories of everyday heroes at the front line. The items will be added to the National Library Board's larger collection that includes websites, TV broadcasts and photos that were started in February. The National Museum says some of the contributions could also be featured in future exhibitions.
And for more, we're joined by Daniel Tam from the National Museum of Singapore and Hui Sim Tan from the National Library. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us this evening. Hui Sim, first up, what prompted NLB and NMS to call for public contributions of items and, stories that are representative of this COVID-19 period now?
Well, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic is such an unprecedented event in Singapore and in world's history. We thought it was very important for us to document these extraordinary times. This joint collection project by the National Library Board as well as the National Museum invites everyone to contribute their records, their objects documenting their daily lives during this pandemic. In doing so, we can then capture a fuller and richer picture of life during these times to remember how people continued living, working, playing, and caring for one another. This joint call would also add to Singapore's rich history and archives and enrich future generations' understanding of this defining moment. For NLB, the public call supplements our broader collecting efforts for COVID-19. As you have mentioned, we have already started since February this year, been archiving websites, television broadcasts, as well as photographs and ephemera related to the pandemic.
Daniel, we understand that it's the first project of this nature that the museum is launching to proactively collect items, while this is going on. Looking ahead for when this will sort of be looked back on in its history, can we expect more such opportunities? Tell us a bit about your understanding of the significance of this then.
Oh, certainly. I think just as what Hui Sim has mentioned, COVID-19 has drastically affected the whole world, and that includes Singapore, and that affects all of us right now, even as we speak. So I think for future generations looking back at this period, it's going to be regarded as a very key historical moment, and so that's why for us at the National Museum, we have been keeping very close watch on these developments together with our colleagues at the National Library Board, and as what you mentioned, we are launching our larger project on collecting contemporary Singapore, and often for us we think of the museum as being interested in collecting objects that are old or antiques, I guess, but with collecting contemporary objects, we are really collecting present items for the future, items that I think when you look back, you will see the significance and for future generations to be able to piece that together. So for us, I think it's very important at this point to be really collecting and documenting COVID-19 precisely as history unfolds, and to be doing that by engaging the public when memories are still fresh and when objects are still available to be collected.
Exactly. So speaking of these items, these objects that you're hoping to collect and the contributions that are coming in, share with us examples of items that people can contribute and how should they go about doing it? Hui Sim, why don't I start with you first?
Okay, thank you. As you mentioned, at the NLB, we are looking to document daily life as it is. We're also interested in stories and experiences of those people on the front line, as well as those who are keeping our essential services going. We have a dedicated web page where you can submit videos, photographs, journals, diaries. Basically, we want your stories. And what we have been collecting, for example, we have we'll be collecting memes related to COVID-19 from SGAG. We are working with to archive digital content from a Pay It Forward initiative, Belanja Eat, which encourages people to treat or belanja a person a meal. We're also working with Our Grandfather's Story to archive their video series facing COVID-19. We're also keen to work with different communities and organizations who are interested in documenting COVID-19 or who have already started a similar project. So we encourage everyone to visit our Documenting COVID-19 webpage. Our launch basically starts tomorrow, but we are quite heartened because we've already received submissions, even somebody from overseas Singaporean. So we welcome everybody in contributing to this project.
Daniel?
For us as a national museum, we are of course interested in objects that tell the bigger narrative of Singapore's history, but also objects that people personally connect with, basically objects of story. So really for this open call, we want to be open, to be surprised really by what the public has to offer, to share with us on objects that they have come to regard as significant during this period of COVID-19, and of course in connection with that the stories that are tied with it. So this could be anything at all really, from a household item to a gadget to an art. Or I think what I would be really interested in would be something that shows the creativity of Singaporeans and in adapting to the life during this period.
Okay, many thanks for speaking to us both, Daniel Tham from the Singapore National Museum and Hui Sim Tan from the National Library.